How's things? How are you? How's it going?
Good, man. Yeah, good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, just yeah. You are the headline the headline, the final piece of the jigsaw of the day.
Oh,
So very
really?
good. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Right at the end of the day. Goodness me. Well, there's better ways. I can't think of many better ways to end the day than chatting to me.
Mate,
Some
I
people would
thoroughly
say.
agree. That's why I said go last. It's the
Go
best place.
last. Yeah, best place to be. Best place to be. How have you? How's it been going through lockdown and stuff? Obviously, I spoke to so many different actors and filmmakers who have had varying degrees of experience during this mad time. How have you been able to navigate it? All right.
I think. I mean, I was fortunate that we came into it with a couple of different projects to write. I think that was the sort of thing that really kept me sane, as having some sort of having something to do, having some work to do. I think that was the thing that, especially when I spoke to more and more people within our business, if you didn't have something to sort of like focus your energies upon, I think it could really stay. I think the first lockdown I had more stuff to be getting on. The second lockdown, we'd wrapped King Gary, the Christmas special, and we'd sort of finished a lot of the writing that we had. So second lockdown, weirdly, I found a lot harder. I think I found sort of like, wow, I'm not waking up with something to do. Like I tried to keep as much as I could, like office hours of getting up, like doing a long walk with a dog, or a little workout or whatever, and then having and then starting work every day about 9:30 and working till 5:30, 6, and trying to keep that as regular as possible. And if we didn't have anything that had been already commissioned, we were working on new projects between me and James and Andy, the company, just to sort of go, right, well, I think we, like anyone in this, the worry was quite real, not only as an actor and as a writer, but also someone as a company. You're like, you're constantly worried about that as well. And are you going to make it through as a company?
Yeah. Did you film the special during the middle then? Did you kind of in between when you had to film it? Did you have to do all loads of different things that you hadn't had to do before with all the new protocols and everything? You were able to do it pretty easily.
I think the protocol, so we filmed it in that in the gap, and we actually wrapped on the day that it was announced we were going to lockdown 2 on the following Wednesday, I think. So yeah, I mean, I've never been as nervous as I don't think I slept genuinely for about a fortnight, because for the moment you're having everyone on the cast and crew having COVID tests, you're worried that one's going to come back positive. If that comes back positive, you're going to have to shut down a shoot and you've lost your chance. So I was constantly running up to the COVID guy every day going, Mark, is everyone back in okay? Is everyone fine? Because it was just, you're worried about people's health, but also you're worried, that you're not going to be able to deliver this thing that you've worked really tirelessly to put together. I think that the actual, the protocols we have to go through and in making this, I think, which are the protocols that we have to follow in life, whatever, wearing a face mask, washing their hands, social distancing, they felt, small things in sort of the scheme of things that, that we were blessed enough to be able to make this, because you sort of, I think it didn't feel real that we were going to be doing it until the cameras started sort of like rolling on that first day. And then we were like, oh, we're doing this now. Because we were commissioned to have done it before. We were writing it almost as we were writing the beats of this before COVID hit. Sort of, so series 1 had just been out, and so we knew we were doing this. So it's sort of, there was a little bit of, we've had to put like 2 or 3 projects on the back burner because of COVID. So it was, no matter what protocols we were put through, we were going to sort of do them.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got to do it though, because it could have been something that you, as you say, you could have missed out again had you not got into that time. I guess that's a strange thing, whether it's you guys acting or sports and everything else. As soon as there's a positive test come back, that's when it all kind of goes into meltdown and everything needs to change. So thankfully you got lucky, which is good.
Yeah. Which was like, you're sort of like, and I think it makes you, I think the whole, I think it's a really interesting thing of like, through lockdown, you're aware that this thing's going on, it's happening, you're going to go to the supermarket, you're going to go through these protocols, but you're not obviously interacting with anyone. You don't hear other people's stories necessarily. You're not out there in the, in the sort of wild scheme of things. As soon as you're sort of out filming it and you're around other people, it feels really real. It feels really like shit. I really have to make sure that not only am I, sticking to these protocols, sticking to the things that we've been told, but making sure that everyone around you is as well, and that everyone's taking it seriously as possible. I think it's I think as well it was a really weird thing when we were filming the special, is that we film it on obviously on a street where people are living, and these people, when we were filming the series, they were amazing. They come out of their houses and they chat, and so series 1 was like, it was brilliant, because it felt like, oh, this is Gary's world, and these are the people that sort of inhabit every day in a way, and when we were doing the Christian special, they weren't, they couldn't come out, they weren't allowed anywhere near us. They were sort of having to sort of just watch out their windows as we were sort of building the amazing lights in October. And I think that was a sort of time where you're like, oh wow, like obviously when you're doing these things and you're out and about, if people wanted pictures or sort of a video message or whatever, for the first time I'm always happy to do those things, but you're like, oh man, I can't really, I'm not allowed to do it. Or we can have a picture, but you guys have got to be like with your face masks all the way back there.
Yeah, all the way back the other side. Yeah,
and it usually actually it's a better picture if I'm 2 meters back, because then we all look about the same size.
Oh dear. Well, I watched the special earlier. I enjoyed the show. I think it's really funny, and I love the fact that it's got such a great heart as well. Its heart's in the right place, and the obviously Gary and the guys, all their hearts are in the right place. But I wanted to ask you, when you start the special, there's a song that I hadn't heard for many years, which is it's Katrina and the Waves, right? Is it Eurovision? Is that her Eurovision song, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when it started, I couldn't help but think of the Fast Show for some reason, because they always used to pick songs that you never heard of for ages, and then they would use it in a way that we used to be like, that's brilliant. There's Gary in his car spreading a bit of cheese. Was that a purposeful thing that you did in terms of writing it? Did you write it without the music, or?
Yeah, the music's like James, who writes and directs it. So he writes and directs the show, and so he's a real music geek. But that one I'm obsessed with that song. So it was during lockdown when I love the Eurovision. I'm a massive Eurovision nut. I love it. I get really competitive about it. I'll pick a nation, never usually England, if I'm honest with you. That year it was, and I'll just obsess. Me and my wife will sit and we'll argue and we'll have friends around and whatever, and it's a really big it's a big part of our year. So this year the BBC did like the best of Eurovision, and when we were writing Gary, and Katrina and the Waves came on, and I must have rewound it about 5 times with her singing on stage and just singing along to it. And it's a really happy song, isn't it? It really, I don't know, just and obviously the whole episode's about lights. And I said to James that we should open with this. And I was waiting for him. Usually I'll suggest like a song, and he'll have some sort of cool idea of something a bit different and a bit more edgy. And he was like, no, that's perfect. So I mean, all of the music is stuff that we, from that to the Snowman to Drummer Boy, it's all hopefully setting a scene of what I think music, especially with comedy, I think it's so important. We're both like the little, the guys who do the sort of like, the music in the show and score it are amazing. I think that's one of the things that, we're always really got an eye on the music.
Yeah, that's a great. That I was going to say, and obviously when he sings Alec Jones towards the end,
it's
one of those moments, isn't it?
When he did that, like, so he sang for real. We didn't know if he could sing or not. And he's as an actor, he's going to go everywhere. He's going to be an amazing young actor. He's really, it's amazing thing. So he's been with us since the pilot, and you can see Riley. You can see him growing as an actor. I think it's heartbreaking, the scene with him and Laura. Like, I was watching that and I was like, oh my, wow, like that's I didn't expect him to be. I knew he was good. He just blew me away. So when we did that bit in the church and he started singing, we were all everyone was, it was about the last thing we filmed, and it was really, it's quite sort of, it really sort of, it struck home. You know.
Yeah. On the Eurovision note, did you see the film, the Eurovision film with all?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to like it. I think it came at the right time, didn't it, in terms of lockdown
but
and
that's
stuff.
what, you know, I think that we can all get a little bit twisted about sort of, you know, everything's got to mean something, or I just thought it was just great for an hour and a half just to laugh, and you know, no one does that better than Will Ferrell, and Jamie Dimitriou's incredible in it, and yeah, I just think across the board it's just a fun, it's just escapism. I think that's what you're trying with, hopefully, with comedy. I think sometimes, you know, there's amazing stuff out there which is, you know, thought provoking, and you know, but then I think there has to be stuff where it's just idiocy, and it's just silly, and it's just fun, and for an hour and a half you can forget about COVID, or you can forget about some of the hardships that you've got in your life, and just for that time you can laugh at something.
Yeah, and also you go into like a very elite group, in the sense that Christmas specials are quite a big deal for some people. You know, like I always watch the Office Christmas special every year,
Oh
without fail.
man,
It has to be done. Blackadder Christmas special. There's so
yeah.
many, and now I guess when you do it, does it feel any extra pressure when you did the special, in the sense that it's a little bit, not different, I say, but it goes out to an audience where a lot of people are sitting at home watching TV all together, and it's a little bit of a different vibe, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you talk about great TV moments, and I think like the Office Christmas special is just, I think you'd have to look long and hard ever to try and find anything as perfect as that. That was just, you know, what Ricky and Steve did in that was just, yeah, next levels. I mean, that's where you feel the pressure, because now I'm going to start talking about King Gary. But yeah, it's, you know, with King Gary, I think the thing that I always wanted most from it was the fact that to have done things like Murder and Successful, an action team, and things that were a bit more cult, and things that are a little bit more different, shall we say, to then move into the world where you're making a mainstream show, to jump on to begin that responsibility from the BBC. But I was always like clear in the vision with me and James. We were always like, we need to make this something that the whole family can sit down and watch, very much in a way that things, you know, like Fools and Horses or Vicar and Dibley, and shows that like I grew up watching. So one of my favourite things when anyone talks to me about it is that they've watched it with their grandparents, and they've watched it with their kids, and you know, that's where you go. It's a family show. So the added pressure of going, right, now we're going to do a Christmas special where hopefully a whole family can sit down and watch this together, as you know, and laugh at the right places. And it's, you know, it's the hardest thing, I think, to try and to write something where we've always been really clear we're not going to swear in it. You know, so you sort of going almost to that old school way of, you know, Porridge was brilliant at it, those guys, where you just got to find other words that sort of replace. I always think it's a harsher thing. If someone just calls you a swear word, it lacks imagination, doesn't it? To come up with something like a marrow, or like that's real thought. Like you have to go through a thought process to call me that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean I'm not going to lie here. My anxiety, I don't cope very well when I've got anything coming out. I'm not one of those people that oh yeah, everyone's going to love this, it's going to be amazing. I spend every moment in an anxiety, absolutely sort of like, took my body, so I had to go for a run.
Yeah, get out there. Yeah, absolutely. I always liked how John Cleese did it as Basil Fawlty, because Basil Fawlty always wanted to swear, but he always had to find. Couldn't swear because he like subconsciously knew that would be completely wrong, but he could say everything else about it as long as he wasn't swearing at people.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing of, but also it's a really weird thing of like, it's working class. A lot of working class men don't swear at home. Will never swear in front of their kids.
Yeah,
I've got mates who will turn around and go, no, I'll stop swearing the day that Lily was born. I will not say that. And they do a whole thing where they'll like almost like they'll go, now listen here, no,
yeah, have to not say the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like sportsmen that do that, isn't there? On the pitch, it's like,
yeah,
I'm completely different on the pitch, where then you meet him in real life, you're like, oh, he's such a lovely
quite a meek person. Yeah.
But on the pitch, they just get overcome with everything else. It's madness. In terms of the show, then, I mean, have you been surprised by how people have taken to it? Because season 1 has seemed to have gone down a treat, considering there's so much content now out there for people to watch, to stream, to watch on demand, and all that kind of stuff. And this, Gary seems to have found a place in everybody's home. I can't make that. I can't make that judgment. You never know. I don't know.
I'd have pulled you up
in a lot of people's homes, people have found it. And also, like you say, it's one of those shows that you could put on after a bad day. Just sit and watch for half an hour. That must be the good thing coming out of it, in the sense that people are watching it. And when they are watching it, it's taking them, as you say, away from troubles or even a bad day at the office, as it were.
Yeah, I think that's it's a weird. I think the weirdest thing for me with Gary was that at the end of it, like most days, and me and my wife, I'll sit and watch like episodes of Modern Family or Curb, Seinfeld, or The Office or whatever. Like some of the sort of hits, I'll just watch a couple of episodes just to sort of just to chill out at the end of the day. And so when you hear people are doing that with your show, something you've created, and people will message and on Instagram or Twitter and say, "Oh yes, when series 2," I think people think you can make a TV series in like 3 weeks. Write it, get it out there, and it's done. But it's lovely when you hear that they're watching it on a number of different times and they're seeing different bits of it. I think as to the people that like it, I think it's people who can relate to it. I think that it's a show. It's made by me and James, who it was very much my life, my friends' lives. I think the people in it that I've said this on many occasions, and I'll probably say it all the time we're making this show. The people in this show are real. They're the people. I'll constantly have to fight that argument of reviewers or whatever saying, "Oh, they're quite big characters," and I'm like, well, "But go to where we filmed this in Essex and meet some of the people. Go to South London, where I'm from, and meet the people. This is what people are like." And we're not doing anything new, because they did that brilliantly in Gavin Stacey. They did that amazingly in Royal Family. Or they did that in Fools and Horses. It's my look at the world I'm from. So I find it amazing, and I find it really touching that people have taken Gary and Terri and that world into their hearts. So when we write in series 2, the best thing of all is that you go, well, actually, you sort of know the things that work and the things that don't. But also, you haven't got to do the sort of long introductions to people. You've got that thing that if John the Butcher just turns up, you haven't got to go, "Oh, it's the guy from the Butcher." They'll go, "Oh, I know him because he's been in this many," or Wink or Stuart or Chloe. You've sort of set these characters up, which was the most fun. And I think the thing I would like the most is when you chat to different people, it doesn't seem like there's one episode that people go, "Oh, that's my favourite." That's a resounding one that everyone likes, that one episode. It seems like some people like this one or that one, and they pick different characters or different moments they like, which is great. And I genuinely always go back to when Kathy Burke won a comedy award for Gimme, Gimme, Gimme. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Oh, yes, with James Dreyfus, right? Yeah.
And she gets up on stage and she says about, it's real people are watching this, and maybe if people go out of the Groucho Club for 5 minutes and actually watch TV, and that's what King Gary is. If people like, Kathy Burke, and who are, for me, Paul Whitehouse, Kathy Burke, Simon Day, these are the people that I was following up. They were the working class people who had sort of already, there wasn't a lot of them back then, but they were the first people who were sort of working with, the comedy elite who'd been in sort of like Footlights and whatever, and they were the guys. They were the forerunners, really. And I think that's the that always, when me and Laura talk about it all the time, it might not be like the coolest, hippest show, but I think people seem to like it.
Yeah, for sure. And just as a final question, I mean, is this obviously with many shows of this ilk, there's a lot of people that do 10 years, 12 years of these shows. Some people, like the ones we've mentioned before, who have only done 12 episodes, and that's it. That they don't want to kind of taint it. Have you kind of got a plan in your head as to how long you might want to go with it if you're given the opportunity, or do you have a kind of do you have an end date where you like with your other shows you might want to move on to something, keep it fresh, as it were?
I think I'm fortunate that we have another show that we've been working on for quite a long time, which we're about to announce and talk about, which I'm sure I'll talk to you about that at a later date. So that's about to come out, which is a completely different thing from Gary. But when is it talking about King Gary? you know, I'd happily make the show as long as I'm allowed to. It genuinely is like the people that make the show, and you know, the crew, the cast. It's like a big family. You know, a lot of the, I think I've said to you before, like the people that work on the show behind the scenes are people that have been with me and James now for 10 years, and you know, they're already like a family. And this show sort of embodies that really. And I look forward to sort of seeing how we could grow it and how we could keep it. You know, we're writing series 2 now, and you sort of, when you do first series the same, you're like, oh, you know, you sort of use these second series, you're like, oh, you know, what ideas have we got? And you're always going to question. I think you question it more. You sort of, it grows more, and I think as long as, you know, and I'm Romesh and James I'm hypercritical about everything that I do. I was with Murder and Successful, and I'm with this. I go back and I go, right, this did not work. This didn't work enough for me, but this did. So how do we take that stuff, and when we do series 2, how do we make sure that we're using the parts of the show that really work? You become, you know, like when I sit and watch Modern Family, or I sit and watch Curb, or I sit and watch Seinfeld, or any of the shows that I love, you see that people work quicker ways of telling the story to get into the story. So they're the things that you start, hopefully you can start, you know, putting to your own show. So you're not spending like 20 minutes going, oh, this is the setup, but it's got this small little payoff. You're going, right, no, hold up, we can do this in one scene, and then boom, you're away with the story, and then you're away with the fun and games. And I think that's the thing that, you know, you hopefully over time, you can, the storytelling and the show can grow and get better and better and better. I think this country actually, that, you know, when I look at shows that just found them, that first series, which, you know, is another one of those that I sit and watch at night, and Daisy and Charlie are close friends of mine. I love them both. But that just, as a, you know, anyone who wants to know how to do this job, just go and watch that. Because what they do is like, they'll put the foot on the accelerator, and you're like, it's so brilliant. And then just at that moment where they slow it down, and you see, like, you know, I think, you know, this is a big thing to say. I think one of the best scenes I've seen across any genre is a scene where Kerry McClough is talking to the guy who is with her, who used to ride the motorbikes with her dad, and she's with the vicar, and they're in the. Have you seen that episode?
I think so. Yeah, it rings a bell. Yeah,
it's as brilliant as anything you'll ever see, and I go back to that whenever I forget what comedy is and what comedy should be, and watch Daisy's performance in that, because it's phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, thank you so much for your time. Absolute pleasure talking to you as always. Good luck with the special. Hope it goes down a treat over Christmas.
Thank you.
And I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure they will.
My anxiety is that I keep saying that.
Yeah, right at the end of the interview, I'm just like, actually, no, I didn't like it. Everyone. See you later. Oh dear. Yes, thank you so much for your time, and Merry Christmas, as it is the season.
Lovely Christmas to you and the family, mate. All the best.
Thanks, mate. Cheers. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey You